Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week of Grab the Trace episode. I've got my lovely co-host here. Well, half of him, a shell of him.
Yeah, he's not all here today.
He's not performing at his highest. Let's just go with
it's
that.
Enough. It's enough for the podcast.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. We're actually doing something a little bit different this week. It is during the day. I don't know if you can see sunshine behind us, but it's a Sunday. It's a weekend. And here we are doing the podcast. Slaving.
Yeah, you could be listening to this. I mean, we've recorded this a couple of weeks in advance, but you could be listening to this and I have to go home and fix it all up so you can, that's how you get it on the Monday morning.
Yeah.
How good.
Rushed podcast.
Well, not rushed. I mean, we've obviously taken our time.
Weeks in advance.
These 4 questions we've been sitting on for 3 weeks now have been just unreal.
There is a fair few questions.
I think this is like a little bit, I think we did there. That's where we got up to.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. Yeah. All right. Well.
How are you today?
Yeah, I was about to say, what's the hands? What are we doing?
I feel like I want to give the people who watch like a little bit more, and I want to start talking with my eyes, with my hands. I want to contribute without knocking the microphone.
Okay.
Just to try and up the level of it all.
Up the level. No, I like that. But in terms of...
Without touching anything, as I gently place my hands back now. I think I'll just go down.
Yeah, that would be for the best.
In the lap.
How are you going?
Yeah, I'm going pretty well. I mean, I am slightly hungover. We kind of skirted around that a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
But that's fine. That's the cost of doing business on a Sunday morning. So I've already been up at 7. And the only reason I'm hungover is because I am, for some reason, a tight ass and won't take an Uber because I am upset with Uber at the moment. So I instead
Did you vomit in a cab?
No. Oh my goodness. Weird. That's an all-time chat. We should bring that up on a Q&A or something where people will you seem to talk about throwing up in Ubers a lot. And then you were on your last day, your going away thing where we were kind of gaslighting the cab driver being that's horrible. So there's no blacklist or register for people who throw up in cabs. Maybe we should invent that.
Ubers. So I'm on to my 3rd Uber account.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I got such a low star rating that no one would pick me up.
See, the thing is, I don't understand. I've never thrown up in a cab. I've verbally vomited a bit in terms of I can't keep my mouth shut. But I've got a 4.5 star rating. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I tip really well.
See, I've got a 4.8 or 4.9 and I do nothing.
I'm ruining these people's livelihoods. I don't get that.
I'm also up to my 3rd account, so it's fine.
If you average it, you're into a 3.
It's true. No, I'm shocking.
It's the motion sickness. It's their fault for driving.
I sound really bad, but I'm not a big drinker. I really don't. I get migraines, so I'm not a big drinker. But when I do drink,
when we clear the schedule and we know and we're on the right kind of drinks. We're on the espresso martinis.
Yeah, espresso martinis to get you going, and then I'm like, no, I'll go to pina coladas because I'm on holidays.
They're revolting.
They're so good, guys. They do not taste like sunscreen. I might add.
It's not so much they taste like sunscreen; it's the consistency of a watered down sunscreen. No, it's
refreshing. Just think, if you're drinking, you're obviously poisoning yourself. You're dehydrating yourself. A good pina colada, a bit of coconut milk or cream or whatever it is, delicious. Hydrating. Oh, honestly.
Have you ever woken up with a headache after having a bunch of pina coladas?
So as soon as I make the decision to drink, I know I will be waking up with a migraine. So regardless, if I have 2 glasses of wine or 2 drinks.
Really? Even that much?
Yeah.
Damn.
Alcohol is a trigger for me for my migraine. So it's
it's like poison.
It literally is. So as soon as I drink, it's just I've made the conscious decision that the next day is
just a write-off. Okay, fair enough. Well, I mean, look at me. I'm making sure today's not a write-off. I mean, we've got the potty episode to do. We've got a bit of planning we've got to do in the background.
We do.
TBC
we got
coming
a fair
soon.
Bit on. Yeah.
And we're here just to wrap up these questions. You're going well?
Yeah.
I mean, for everyone playing along, Mikaela was kind of gallivanting around. Was it at the
Disney exhibition?
So where was that?
Brisbane.
Was that at the art museum?
It was at the Queensland Museum. Yeah, Brisbane Museum.
Yeah.
So,
was it the Goma or was it the actual
not the Gallery of Modern Art. I think it's just called the museum, isn't it? It's where the dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
And the whale outside. People who aren't in Brisbane are what are you talking about?
designed by, I think it's Robin Boyd in the 60s for when the Queen came for some like celebration thing, like it's QPAC. So you've got QPAC, you've got the museum, the art gallery.
Yep.
Then they built the new art gallery, the modern art one. You've got the State Library, I think is there as well.
Yep.
And just beautiful buildings.
It is very pretty. Very, very pretty. But yeah, it was a Disney, like Walt Disney exhibition, and they had like all the original sketches, and it was incredible. They even had this video of how they used to film like a what did they call it? A multi-frame camera or multi something. And it was so interesting. So obviously when you think of like sketches and drawings, and you know how they used to like flick through.
Like a flip book, yeah.
Yeah. So think of this when they started obviously doing like films, not just like the Mickey Mouse sketches or anything.
Yeah,
but when they started
Steamboat Willie just rocking down the
when
Nile.
they started doing like Snow White and Lady and the Tramp, they had
See, now everyone's using their hands. Everyone, you got to be watching this. We're getting visual.
I know. So they used to film all these cameras were all these cameras. The camera was directed from above, and then what they had was all these like storyboards almost visually like stacked up vertically, and then they would break up each frame into like foregrounds, backgrounds, and they would have like say a picture of a person, then they would have the like next frame, I guess, or storyboard would be the background that they're standing on, and then the next frame would be the like background behind that, and then the next background was like the sky. So when you filmed it and then they brought all those like layers together, it would look...
Kind of looks like you're zooming in on someone, right? But like it's a perspective thing.
Yeah. And it was like obviously the background, the furthest one away would stay stationary, and then the other ones would like I can't. I'm not explaining it.
Same way they did Lord of the Rings, where everyone was the same height, but they had Ian McKellen be on a set that was much closer, I guess, and then they kind of had it all synced up.
Distortion and perspective, and like it was so interesting.
Do you want to know my little tidbit about Disney movies from that ilk? Is if you look at the way that the characters are choreographed and everything. I think there's something where like there's a scene where Snow White's dancing and it's the same frame for frame. It's just they recolored
It's when the 7 dwarves are dancing, and I can't remember what the other scene was. And it's where like Snow White's clapping and the 7 dwarves are dancing around, and then Robin Hood.
But even
and it's Robin Hood.
It's using the same
frames.
100% just recoloring it because
it's really
they nailed that animation. So instead of doing like motion capture like you would now, it's just
crazy.
reskinning it.
And then they looked all into like Fantasia as well.
That movie still creeps me out. I haven't seen it the full way through.
Oh no, it's amazing.
No, it's a bit much for me.
It's my childhood. No. It's incredible. But Walt Disney actually, in creating Fantasia, started what we know as like cinema in terms of sound, and like how sound and speakers, and they had like obviously the audio reel and the video reel, and then they had to like obviously put them simultaneously, and then how that worked.
Like how I sync up the potty. See, I mean,
all that
Walt
tech
Disney
stuff. You would love
walked
it.
so I could run.
Exactly.
That's
but he literally like he started it all. I had no idea that like that's where
the man.
Anyway,
but
bloody brilliant. That's what I tried to say.
See you on the reels, everyone.
There we go.
I
can't wait.
Listen, while we're having a chat, I mean, we said we're going to do some questions. So let's play the introduction. So that way we can just get into it. I'm going to press the right button in 3, 2, 1.
Bang.
Welcome to Grab the Trace, a home design podcast here to help you deliver your next project to its full potential. If you're looking for some tips and secrets whilst building a new home, renovating, or even just picking some window furnishings, stick around, pull up your plans, and let's grab the trace.
Lovely. Well, I think we didn't even really kind of go into, this is our 3rd episode of the questions, isn't it?
Yes.
So for people playing along at home, this is the
final
installment of like are we calling it the getting to know us again?
Yeah, getting to know you.
Yeah.
Getting to know you again after, because we forgot you.
I know, right? We're forgettable.
The first one was about, I guess, us as people and designers and like our careers. The second one was more renovation from our experiences and things we've done.
Yep.
And then this one's more, I guess, general kind of
knowledge
General
and like
knowledge
passing it
or-
on
I guess
to the
It's almost like a
next
summary of what
group.
we've done in every episode up until now. It's
It is a little bit.
like kind of what do you really want to see in designs and stuff like that.
No,
So,
I
I mean,
like
let's just
that.
kick it off. So,
It is.
Mikaela,
All
what
right.
are your top 3 must-have inclusions for a home?
Okay. Ooh.
As I Mr. Burns my hands again.
Okay, what are your top 3 must-haves? Okay. Top 3 must-haves are timber floors. I know, very weird, but not timber flooring, but investment into your general flooring, whatever that may be. If that's a beautiful limestone, if it's a beautiful stone flooring or a beautiful engineered oak flooring or just the main body of your floor, invest in it. I just don't think that's something to skimp out on. I feel like that's a huge investment to make and one I would definitely recommend. Second one is a master suite in the sense of if you could kind of describe your house to someone, you'd be like, oh, but the master suite does it for me. Like that for me is just a must inclusion. I just would love to close that bedroom door and have your walk-in wardrobe, your bedroom, your master ensuite, and just make it feel like an oasis. No matter what genre or inspiration or aesthetic that you want, it just needs to be that absolute escape. I feel like that's a must-have. And then the third, natural light.
Damn it. That was going to be one of mine. I think you're right, though.
Natural light and ventilation in every room. Every room, try and achieve as much natural light and height and space and airflow, and I just feel like no matter what the rooms are, I guess, designed as or aesthetic, or even if you've got
from powder room to bedroom to storeroom even,
every single room will completely and utterly change depending on the natural light, windows, ventilation that you've included.
I listen, those are 3 great ones. I think to flip it back to me, I will steal one of yours and I will say natural light and ventilation. But I think it's mainly with natural light, it's just really being comfortable that the windows not only serve a purpose of bringing light in, but that they don't kind of really hamstring you in terms of how you lay a room out.
Well, if you say natural light, I'll say height. I'll change mine.
Okay.
If you're, I just don't want to double up for the fans, you know. I'll say like height to a room. If you were building from scratch or picking a house and wanting to get those, like, I guess, key items, for me, it's like ceiling heights.
Yeah. I think that was one of your building blocks you kind of were pretty insistent on.
Yeah, it just changes the whole feel. If you go into a standard like 2.4 high ceiling everywhere, it's like, it's nice, but you know the difference when you go into a 2.7, 3 meter, 3.5 meter, like that just changes the whole feel of a home. And you can have small rooms, but if you have really high ceiling heights, it really does change.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I'll go ceiling heights. And then
that's good. Yeah,
go
well, so I guess to then build on exactly everything you said with natural light and even the ventilation aspect to it with your windows, it's where
we have to go.
1 second. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, hey, everybody. We didn't cut there the house wasn't shaking because it's laundry day in the
I'm sorry.
Garrick
It's
household.
Sunday. It's Sunday. You know what that means. Clean day.
Clean it up. So I guess we were saying, so natural light and ventilation, but I'm approaching it maybe more from window design.
Yeah.
In terms of, I mean, we've done...
And how important it is I feel like in the building blocks episode, you totally went into like sliding versus awning versus like...
louvers and do you want picture portions of the window? Do you want... Yeah. I think something that we're kind of not firmly against, but something that we're not super like advocates of is the old window over the top of like where a bed head would go or over the top of a bed.
I've actually hit this with a few clients recently in the sense of they're always like, oh, well, more natural light and ventilation is better. Like you're always going to be like, yeah, more windows is better than none. But practicality, I get really aggravated with like windows behind a bed or like you know how they always do like high level windows above a bed or like 2 windows either side, but then that's where your bedside tables go.
Yeah, unless you've got a 4 meter wide bedroom and you're kind of really spacing it out where they're right in the corners of the room.
Even then, it aggravates me when you're like lying in bed and that sliver of light, no matter how well you do, like I always think, how are you going to window cover that? Because I don't think there's any couple or person or client that I've met that go, oh no, I love natural light. Like I don't have window coverings. I sleep with the windows open. No one does. Everyone likes a little bit of block out on a Sunday morning. So how are you going to treat that? Even if you do block out blinds that are wider than the window and not like concealed within the reveal.
You face fix and then you almost like flip it so that it kind of creates a seal, but it's never going to work.
You get that sliver, and then even if you do like, oh no, I'm doing like a whole like track of block out curtains and sheer curtains and like doing it, even that, like you obviously have to stop it for the bed. So even where they gather, and then it just looks weird having all these like luxurious window treatments that are just like panels either side of the bed. Anyway, I'm not into it. Like, no. But if that's the only wall where you can get light,
like I would prefer
choose another wall for your bed. Like 100%. I don't know. I just I think aggravates me.
Having said that, if there's, I mean, it's a requirement anyway, but if there's a choice between having one of those windows or having no windows, like obviously we're going to choose. No. But like in terms of if there's no windows in the room, then if you were to have a sliding door instead as the only natural source of like ventilation into your room, like that's a little bit like how you going for me.
What do you like if it was a master bedroom or something with a balcony and you only had sliding doors? I would redesign that sliding door to have a window.
Yeah, like a little side light.
I would always incorporate, and I see it all the time, especially in like living areas. You always see everyone's like, oh, this whole wall of glass and it's a sliding stacking and it all slides back, and I'm like, how do you just get like, do you have to crack the door?
Like, you're pretty much resigning yourself to putting crimsafe or like fly screens on there, and then people are like, oh no, I don't want the illusion.
Yeah, I don't want to like block the full height glazing. I don't want to have fly screens or it's everyone does like the bifolds, and again in Queensland I'm against that just because of like bugs. I'm like always like we need insect screens wherever we go. I'm so sorry. I've fully taken over your question and I've fully gone on a tangent. So I'm so sorry.
Let's tick off the next one. So windows, just have a look into them. What works for you, and I guess
it changes the whole use of a room.
It does.
I use my room around the natural light and ventilation, and I think surely everyone does.
Hopefully, when
it's like, oh, it's going to rain today, like make sure all the windows are closed because they're sliding and rain's going to come in. Oh, I just need to like crack this window. Oh, it's hot. I don't want the aircon. Honestly, every single day I use my room around natural light and ventilation.
Love that.
I'm so sorry. Advocate. Again, I just said, we're not going to take over your question here.
Well, you're still talking. So then the next thing is, I mean, we were just talking about this while the earth was shattering, was having a powder room, like a separate powder room with a separate toilet, or designing your bathroom, your family bathroom, in a way where the toilet is separate to the actual shower, bath, vanity
Explain
space.
To me why that's so important. Because I feel like everyone at home is like, oh, I'd rather have a big luxurious bathroom and just include the toilet.
I think we described it when we did our bathroom episode way back, almost a year ago now, where it's been that long. But I guess the use case is a family, or if you're entertaining. And which you can just...
Doesn't everyone either have a family or they're entertaining? Like, surely you're going to hit
that. It's one of the two. It's the whole idea of trying to reduce congestion, I guess, in terms of getting more people through and back into the party or whatever. Or like if you're getting ready for work or school or something, like you can just get everyone on the same page a little bit faster.
Yep.
And then I actually don't mind it from a point of view of the toilet's not the most amazing thing to look at. So let's just push it to its own little space.
Yeah.
With natural light still, if it's a possibility, whether that be skylight or window. But let's do that. And then even if you can, squeeze a little basin into that toilet as well. So that way you don't even need to go into that other bathroom.
It's fully self-sufficient.
100%. And there's multiple different ways of doing it. Maybe as an Instagram, like little post this week, we can repost our bathroom layouts.
Yeah. I don't know if you agree, but for me, if you were going to do a separate toilet, personally, and I know, don't come at me, people.
I don't think anyone ever will.
They're like, don't go against her. She's crazy. There's no point doing a separate toilet unless you're providing wash basin facilities. I hate when you go to definitely like a project home setup, and they always do it where it's like the toilet outside the main bathroom, but then
you still have to use the main bathroom.
You still have to use the main bathroom.
Someone's having a bath and you're like, oh, sorry, I just have to wash my hands. Or you have to go to the kitchen or the laundry to wash your hands.
And like for me, that's super awkward if you're entertaining and the guests are like, where do I wash my hands? Like,
you just gotta come to the kitchen. I'm just washing up.
Yeah, and then
just dip your hands in the water.
Yeah, to me it like defeats the purpose, especially if like set up for like a young family and they're like, oh, they can just close the bathroom door and like, oh, that's a shit show. There's like bloody bath toys everywhere and there's like dog fur from when we wash the dogs, and like just close the door and it's fine.
Yeah,
you can do that if you've got a self-sufficient powder room.
Agreed.
Again, taking over your question. I'm just going to shut up for the next one. I promise.
And then the third one, is probably your connection to your outdoor living areas. So whether that means you're in a townhouse, I mean, this is based on building a new home, but like
renovating,
can be a townhouse or whatever. It's getting a clear connection from your indoor living spaces to your outdoor living spaces so that you can kind of get that flow or that kind of spill where it's like, oh, we're entertaining indoors, but it's actually quite nice outdoors. So it's just an extension of the indoor living area. Whether that means then your backyard is kind of even then an extension of that where it's not like attached to the house, but you might have like a raised deck area or a fire pit or who knows what, a pool, whatever. It all kind of ties into this thing, like one cohesive idea in terms of how you want to live or experience the space. That's how I'll do it. Do you have anything you'd like to say about it? No. Bone your tongue? Well, that's good. Oh, this is a good question. All right.
Oh.
So what area of what area of design would you like to improve on?
Did I write this question?
Yeah, you wrote this.
What area of design do you want to improve on?
I guess this means personally, not so much like the industry as a whole.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think the industry needs to work better with vertical gardens.
What area of design do I want to improve? Oh, my God. I'm
going
to ask you.
What's your weakness? Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, so I can think of something.
All right. So I think...
Who wrote this question?
Yeah, I know. I think the thing that I'm still kind of in the process of working on is I know my layouts are sick. I know my detailing's sick. I know my specification's sick. I think the thing that I'm still constantly evolving is striking a balance of mainly externally, when is it too much? When is it perfect? And then when should it be a process of less is more? Okay. Like how do I curate?
So paring back.
Yeah, I have a feeling that my personal style is throwing everything on there and then looking at it and going, this is awful, but I'm not sure why. But then like I'll start taking things out and I'm like, oh, maybe instead of having 8 ideas, like trying to get down to like a smaller number where you're like, okay, this is consistent now. It works with proportion, and you can kind of like have, say, vertical elements can mean multiple different things instead of being like, well, it's a vertical element for the screening, but then I want it horizontal for the cladding. I'm going to do weatherboards. I think my kind of next step is just trying to figure out, one, what my style is. And I think that's kind of where I'm getting to is, how do I kind of come up with these schemes and all this kind of stuff that lands me in a spot where I'm not spending like weeks redesigning a house multiple times, where it's just clean, simple, but effective.
Okay.
That's
like
it.
that.
That's where I'm at.
Okay.
And yours is nothing. Yours is actually, mine is probably that I care too much.
No, if I'm being 100% honest with myself, and I'm sure...
This is going to be great.
I'm sure you're going to 100% agree. Brock is 100 billion % going to agree. The area of design that I want to improve on is not pushing or stretching a budget.
Yep.
Unless it's 100% necessary.
Okay.
So for me, I need to be happy with the decision of, in my mind, I just go, no, this is the best solution. This gives you the most storage. This gives you better circulation. This gives you this. And I get so fixated on the best design, the best approach, instead of it's still good design.
Yeah, you can make do with less.
Yeah, in terms of, is there a better layout or is there a better, I guess, opportunity? Yes. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best decision for this client or for this scenario.
Can I give you an example?
Yeah.
One might be, and I think you kind of are on the track, is in some of the projects we've looked at, and when we were doing some of our kind of preliminary investigations into the room designs, we were talking about like skirting board heights.
Yeah.
And you're a huge fan of a really opulent, tall skirting board.
Yeah.
And on the first revision of most finishers' schedules, we try and put it in there because we want to know, like, can the budget accommodate it?
Yeah. I always push.
You do, and I don't know if you are aware of this, you do always subconsciously then leave yourself at least one step to backpedal.
Yeah.
In terms of being like, okay, we don't have to do the Georgian kind of 185 mil one. We can go
230,
like
but
maybe just like a bull nose, like 135, if that's fine.
Yeah.
And then most people are like, yeah, that's a quarter of the cost of what you did previously. I'm happy to sign off on that. But you still win. It's not a 42 mil kind of like skirting or
I
whatever.
don't think I've ever spec'd a 42 mil.
But I think you've got to... Fair enough. I think you've got to start in a position, in a mindset of the sky's the limit. I mean, within reason, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think, as you said, I always design for, in my mind, I'm always designing for the top that I can go, knowing that I've got my safety net there. That I'm always like...
Is that a baby in our house?
Oh, it's Freddie.
No way. We're going to pause.
Guys, pause.
Pause. Hey, everyone. Sorry, we just had an important client meeting that went for about an hour and a half. I'm not sure what got included out of the end of that last little recording session. Definitely wasn't an hour and a half ago. Mikaela, I gave like a really good example. We were talking about what you need to improve on as a designer. This is a bit of
I need to improve on.
This is a bit of a mid-year review kind of thing, performance review.
Yeah.
Like,
how do you think I'm going?
Listen, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll put you at needs work.
Needs work.
But I want you to tell me what needs work.
Wow. No. Okay.
Like, obviously, my needs work is a 9. Duh.
Obviously.
Because 10, if you don't need work, you're perfection, so you're 10.
Obviously.
I gave like a really good example of like something that we were talking about budget potentially. And so I gave like a really smart, well-educated, thought-out example.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. You might not remember. It was about an hour and a half ago. So what do you think?
Okay. To wrap up on the whole budget and my needing to work on it.
Yeah.
I feel like
where do you want to see yourself?
Potentially in my career in the last 8, 9, 10 years, it's always been about aiming as high as I can, knowing that I'm already going to go down. I'm going to aim here knowing that I'm happy to go down to like the next level. So I'm always designing knowing that like, I'm not going to get that, but I'm going to get
this instead because I already feel like I've compromised.
Yeah, but instead of me going with that approach to every single design, I should be going, okay, this is the budget. Instead of pushing it, knowing that I'm going to have the fallback, being happy with the first choice and designing for the first choice. And
that's good.
That's what I want to work on, and being like, no. Instead of pushing everyone to the budget, that, okay, say if they've got $100 to spend, I'm not going to go with $105, knowing that I'd still be happy with that $100. Why don't I actually aim for the $75 that will still give them a great outcome?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I love the sound of that. And when we catch back up in 6 months and we kind of re-tackle this and have another going over where you're at.
Performance review.
Another performance review from a question that you wrote, you forgot you wrote, and is actually like quite critical and like took a lot of time to like figure out what the answer is. I think
I'm not used to like
not bad.
assessing myself like that.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm not even like when I was doing mine, I'm like, gee, I am pretty good at most things.
Oh,
not all. Most, not all. The final question that we've got.
Yeah.
And we'll just go ahead into it. So whose work?
Look, it's the second.
Oh, shivers, it is too.
Yeah.
Whose work are you currently inspired by?
I think we touched on this a
couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. I don't know if it was last week's episode or the week before, but like Studio McGee, that transitional style. I'm really loving international instead of, I went through a whole phase of like Australian design being inspired by what I was seeing around me, what was being built at, the Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, and diving into a lot of Australian design and Australian designers. And now I'm definitely trying to be influenced more by international designers.
Sure.
And then how I take their designs but use them in our context, in our environment, in our weather patterns, in our clients and briefs, and seeing how I can kind of mold that.
That's a really good answer.
Yeah.
And now I'm like stressed because
okay.
But I don't. You're right. You're so right, because everything else is you just mimicking or kind of being inspired by things that you kind of already know. It's like, oh, here's a fresh take on a louver. Where it's like, well, what are we doing like overseas? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, and
that
I know
you could distill back into an Australian context.
Yeah, I feel, again, everyone can be like, it's so cliche, I guess, of being like how Hampton's design can be molded into Australia. And that's easy because we have similar weather patterns. So it's easy about indoor, outdoor, same aesthetics, same materials, durability, blah, blah, blah. But I'm kind of sick of seeing the same design patterns at the moment. I feel like Brisbane, Queensland, Australia is in a bit of a rut. Like, I don't want to see any more Hamptons. I don't want to see any more Mediterranean minimalism. I don't want to see any more arches, brush brass. I don't want to see that like boho. I'm just...
like it's beautiful, but
it's stunning. It's stunning.
It doesn't give you the spark anymore. It's not exciting.
Yeah, I just want to see something different in design. And I'm not being like, oh, I'm going to pave the way with new designs, but I just want to be inspired by a different pull.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I mean...
What about you? What work has inspired you recently?
I stayed Australian. It's...
No, that's like
I think
what you're interested in.
The thing that I'm starting to really look into and kind of try and figure out is, with all of these projects, it's trying to figure out, like, I guess it's seeing what the building blocks are. I guess, like, looking at that stage, not being like, oh, we're into white houses at the moment, but even looking at like the Three Birds stuff that they're showcasing at the moment, or Hunting for George, all the inspiration grams we look at.
Yep.
I think Australia's starting to become a bit of like a little bit of a bubble where we're starting to push some of these ideas that maybe are becoming a little less exciting, like in terms of void height space, where previously it was always like, well, it was enough. Like, we don't need to have 3 living rooms because 1 or 2 is fine. But we're now getting into a stage where everything is kind of just becoming larger than life. So I've been looking, there is one guy, I'm not sure if I've mentioned him on the podcast yet, but James Russell, he does a lot of like really kind of modest architecture, where the clients he works with, they're not, the majority of them don't want McMansions or all this kind of stuff. They're really interested in something that works for them and their lifestyle, or the lifestyle they're trying to build. And the materiality, the way that the thing's designed. I mean, you know me, I love a little bit of Queensland design in terms of indoor, outdoor living. I think that's, at the moment, that's where my head's currently at, is it's trying to figure out how to best use space without it just being there for impact.
Yeah.
I guess. So I guess same thing as I was saying before is with the external design, like less is more.
Yeah. And
like, do you need to do all these things when you can design a bathroom that is multifunctional, that you still have a toilet, a vanity and everything, but the way it's set up is... It's
like you're hitting all the key elements, but can we do it differently?
Yeah. And like, even to piggyback off your previous answer with what you would like to maybe work on in the future is there a real cost benefit of doing that? Like, rather than having like every bathroom has an ensuite, can you design it in a way where, well, maybe 2 or 3 bedrooms share a really functional bathroom,
more efficient
toilet space?
Yeah.
Is that a better outcome? And usually it is.
Yeah.
It's less built area, less fixtures, less fittings.
And not even cost, but like, I always think maintenance.
Yeah.
These huge houses that we're so used to designing it, like every bedroom gets an ensuite, every bedroom gets a walk-in wardrobe, every bedroom needs to be 5 by 5 minimum. Like, but it's the ongoing maintenance. Like, who's cleaning all these? Who's cleaning these bathrooms? Who's using these spaces? Do we want everything in white when they have, 3 or 4 kids under 5? Like, is that practical? Like, is it?
Yeah,
like,
and I
probably
mean,
not.
Don't get us wrong. We're here for it. Like, if you want to do, like, come to us with some big project you want to work on, we're here for it. We know how to, like, make the most out of it. But opposite end of the scale, there will be times where we might challenge you and be like, hey, do you really need this? Because either there's something else we could replace parts of this with to maybe give you more functionality or improve the resale or whatever.
Better efficiencies,
or you can just get away with a smaller footprint, both, I guess, in terms of the build cost, but then even, like, I mean, to get on my Enviro Warrior thing for a little bit, like, you don't need, like, I think
this goes hand in hand with budgets at the moment as well. Like, I know it's like Australia wide, obviously, since like COVID and the bubble, and then everyone was like, house prices dropped, and now it's kind of like gone 100% the other way.
Yeah.
And now there's like this housing and reno crisis that no one can afford to move or buy or reno. And I feel like there needs to be that gap and that change in the market now to accommodate. Like, we can't be doing over the top opulence for no reason. Like, if this is people's savings and they're going to be renovating once and they're going to be building once, and it just needs to be right the first time, we can't really experiment like we used to, or have that freedom over the past few years that we used to have. But also, in that same sense, have you, and again, just a conversation, it's not really answering questions, but have you noticed, I don't know, I think it would have been maybe that 5-6 years ago, I think probably around about when we bought this house that we're sitting in at the moment, I got really excited for design, in the sense of we were kind of coming out of a bit of a rut, I felt, and we're in this exciting new time where new materials were being used, new brands were really coming out, like, in the sense of, like, even little things like, like ABI, everyone knows ABI tapware, and they've gone a little bit nuts, where like they didn't exist like 5-6 years ago. And then it was just coming out of the rut of everyone went to Reese, everyone went to National Tiles, everyone went to, like, everyone went to Freedom for like, you're just seeing these same things. Oh yeah, I've seen that on the block. Like, everything was getting used in every single design, and it was the same tiles, the same finishes, where I felt like 5-6 years ago, it just hit that moment where, oh, what about like Tadalact or lime plaster, or let's do arches, or and it was this exciting kind of new time in design, where now I feel like we were ready for another one.
Yeah, I think there was a huge shift in terms of things becoming accessible. It wasn't just like, oh, I wouldn't even know where to look. It's like there is so much information in front of you all the time.
Yeah.
Instagram ads, face, like just everything. And it's ABI like pushing. And it's like, if you think of like a tapware brand, or you ask or do a survey of people, the marketing works. Tile Cloud is like a huge thing. Yep. And it's like the partnerships that they've formed with certain companies and the way that all gets pushed. Where now I feel like there is so many copies, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like, there's so many different styles, but they're all like, every tap manufacturer offers pretty much the same thing now. Yeah. And like all the finishes are out there, but like, is it almost moving to a stage now where we are going to more bespoke, because people are having to being like, this is my one investment.
Yeah.
I want it to be really tailored to me.
Yeah. Or even like everyone who like, cool, we're going to do a reno or a new build, and there's a house account that goes along with it. And then everyone's just feeding off each other, and I'm just seeing 1 million accounts that are all this, like, they're all the same, but they're all trying to be unique. And I think we're ready. I think Australia is ready for a new era of design, if that makes sense. Like, we've done the whole influencer, we've done Instagram, we've done the house accounts, we've done all these big names that have now become big names. Like, we've seen it, and now I'm like, I'm ready for something different.
I think maybe if I was to have a prediction, I think the way the reason you used to go to a project home builder was because it was like ridiculously cheap compared to everything else.
Yeah.
But they've been hit the same way that all the other builders have with materials and everything. And so like, there's still probably the same difference in terms of thousands of dollars between a project home builder and a custom builder. But when you look at the overall amount of money, the percentage difference isn't there anymore. So maybe that is it. Maybe it's people like connecting with smaller designers or whatever And instead of going through like a Coral Homes, being like, what can I do here?
What can I achieve?
Yeah.
With a more hands-on. I feel like if you are going with a designer or an architect or even a building designer and you kind of know what you want, and again, I feel like this last 5-6 years.
Could you try again?
Oh, okay, Siri, no worries. Wow. Okay.
I feel like, this last 5-6 years, especially with like the boom of the Instagram and the influencer and the house accounts, and I feel like everyone is so much more informed.
Yes. Yep.
And aware of products, suppliers, designers, and then being able to obviously follow everyone else's reno journey or building journey, that they kind of want to be a bit more in touch with the design instead of, again, going to like a project home and being like, okay, I'll pick that one and I'll pick A or B. It's now everyone wanting to like, oh no, I'll do my own lighting because I've got that. Oh no, I'll pick my own floors and I'll just get that.
They're taking ownership over it.
They are. And I feel like having that ability to do that with a designer or doing that with an architect, I feel like it's going to get a more unique approach. And I feel like the time for design and people who aren't necessarily obviously designers themselves, they do want to take a lot more ownership than just going, cool, I'll pick that one, carbon copy. Yeah. And like, done. That's
We're
great.
here for it.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm so
the door's
here for it.
always open. Like it's something that I think makes a better end product because, as you're saying, people are more informed.
Yeah.
They either know what they want or they can articulate it better now.
Yeah.
So exciting time.
It is exciting.
I think so.
Yeah.
Final question time.
Yeah, let's do it.
Share 3 of your fail-safe rules that people should be following when they're designing.
Okay. Am I getting asked?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
My 3 fail-safe rules is create a mood board. And I know this was our first ever episode.
Go.
Create a mood board and stick to it. Just stick to it. Don't... Again, there's always going to be, I know, opportunities during a build. If something goes wrong, if something, you were sold on a tile or this or that and it wasn't in stock, or things have to change. Again, that's the way of the building game. Like, you do have to be adaptable and work with it and take that advice on from your trades and your builders and your friends. And I completely understand that, but always refer back to that original mood board. And that's going to be adaptable. Like, you're going to change, you're going to grow. It's going to be, more images will be added to it. That's what it's there for. But those images don't get added to the mood board unless it's in keeping with the mood board. So it's always going to grow, but it's not going to adapt or change. And just keep that in mind. So that's the first one. Always stick to a mood board. Second one is, again, what we've recommended, create a finisher schedule or create a document like a finisher schedule. You don't obviously have to stick to it, or you don't have to be as rigid or as, I guess, like professional as what we've kind of shown as examples. But that finisher schedule, just like your mood board, will keep you in check. It will have everything on a page for a particular space or area or room, and it will just keep you accountable. Because if you go, oh, okay, well, that wasn't available. Yeah, okay, I liked that when I was, the builder showed me this and it looked pretty similar. No. Put your flat lay samples together, put it on a page in your finisher schedule. Does that go? Does it look okay? Are you happy with that in combination with all the other finishes and selections? You can like something independently, but does it work all together? Maybe not. And I feel like a document like a finisher schedule will help for that. It will also keep you in check for budget, because realistically, at the end of the day, I know I just said I've got to work on not aiming for the top, but I feel like budget makes 50% of your decision. You could love something, but if it's just out of the budget, it's not realistic. So you shouldn't even be considering something that isn't attainable. So finisher schedule, mood board. Third one, 3 fail-safe rules. And again, this is more personal. It's not so much like a designer hint and tip, but the person that you're renovating or designing with, aka your significant other,
brother, sister, mum, dad, friend,
whoever that other person is that has just as much, I guess,
at stake. Yeah, like they're involved the same. Yeah,
communication. And again, just coming out of like my second renovation, it just makes it so much more enjoyable if you're on the same page. Honestly, you like, again, I've just come off not an argument, a discussion that's been a 6 long. Me and my husband have not been able to agree on a particular paver or outdoor tile.
Yeah.
For 6 months, and I'm not changing my mind. He's not changing his mind. So we haven't done anything about it. But for me, that's the right decision, because if we can't agree, there's no point one person getting their way and then the other one regretting it forever. Don't invest in something that you both don't agree on.
I love that as a rule.
And if it's, if it's your second choice or your other, your significant other's second choice, it's your first choice combined.
Sure.
That's how I see it. It could be the 7th option on my list and it's Brock's 17th option on his list, but it's our top option.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the one to go for. It doesn't matter how many others that you can't agree on. It's the one that you do agree on. That's the right choice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, I really like those as rules.
Mood board, finishes, schedule.
Communication.
And communication with the other person, because even if you don't agree, which trust me, there will be disagreements. I have not ever heard of 2 clients or 2 people going through a reno or a build that have agreed upon every single finish, every single selection, every single design choice. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't happen. So communication and making sure that you are both happy with the choice.
Yep.
Because there's no point one person getting their way, because trust me, you get to a point where you're just like, whatever, I'll just cave. I don't care. I'll just give it to them and it's fine. You will regret it, because in 5 years' time, like, a house is a long-term thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So if you're not happy, don't cave. It's not about caving, or it's not about not getting your way. It's just you haven't found the solution yet.
How good's that?
Yeah. All right. Share 3 fail-safe rules people should follow when designing.
Okay. So I'm going to keep these succinct, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the first one is, if you were ever drawing floor plans or trying to like draw furniture at the right scale.
Oh, good
call. So you can plan,
yes.
as we were saying earlier with windows.
Yep.
Where is the bed going?
Yep.
Is it going to stuff up where you want to put the wardrobe? Are you like draw furniture in? Mm-hmm. Even because then it informs decisions of when you go to your electrical appointment. Oh, I've already done a markup of where I thought the couch could go, so I know that the TV must go here then. Mm-hmm. And it's just making decisions. It's not getting emotional and getting caught up in the moment. You're just executing a plan or something that has already had a little bit of thought. So you don't get thrown off. You don't kind of crumble.
Or even making decisions around furniture that has such, I don't know, it just has such a,
draw your bedside tables.
Yeah, well,
like 100%.
Even little things like king or queen bed, like that just has such a big ruling on like, oh, that's where your window placements are going to go. That's where thoroughfare space is going to go. Does that ensuite or wardrobes need to actually like decrease in size to make room for a king size bed? Like these are furniture actually has a bigger play, I guess, in a house design than people think.
And it's the one thing that when you moved in and you're exhausted and you finished moving, I guarantee you it'll be the one thing that you just lie to yourself and you're like, yeah, this looks really good. And you're like, it's too big. I didn't think about it, or I forgot that the mattress size isn't the size of the bed, that the bed's got the base or the ensemble, whatever, that's like an extra 5 centimeters on either side. And then the headboard pushes it out 10 centimeters from the wall. It's making sure that you're comfortable with that to try and avoid surprises.
I think
I'd say
the biggest one, especially in like project homes, I always find people come a bit unstuck, is like the kitchen, living, dining that's open plan. And again, these are people like I'm trying to think of the everyday person who isn't an architect or a designer, who doesn't see floor plans every day. This is probably the first set of floor plans people have ever seen. And they're always unfurnished. They never have furniture drawn in on those floor plans. So when you look and you go, oh yeah, kitchen, dining, that's big. And like, I don't know anything else. Like, yeah, that looks big enough. Living room, yep, cool, that looks big enough. But always think of thoroughfare spaces, like corridors and thoroughfare spaces. They need space. Like you really do. You can't walk through a dining table to get into your living room. So like I think it always comes unstuck with that dining room that's like in front of the kitchen island, and then the living room's past that. But that thoroughfare space behind the dining chairs, you actually need a lot more space than you think.
Than you would think.
Yeah.
Correct. All right, so that's my rule number 1.
Yep, big one.
Second one.
Love that one.
Is orientation.
Oh.
Just being confident
Architect
that you're happy with the orientation, because as I've said about a million times, we stuffed ours up because we didn't even think to look at it. We thought that the home consultant who was doing it for some reason would have considered it. But having said that,
they just think of house plans. This is the block that you've chosen.
Yeah,
done.
House plan. Oh, it fits on the block. There's no reason we can't put the driveway there. Done. Like there's no thought of being like, actually, if you flip the whole house, you'll have a better outcome. The living spaces will be on the north. So orientation, making sure you're happy with that, and especially window design that follows on from that. Whether that means you need to put extra protection on the windows that are on your western side, or who knows, you may be in a situation where, like my house, the lots are like terraced pretty aggressively, like a metre or so between each lot. That might eliminate like a lot of that western sun. And so then you almost end up overdoing it to try and protect a window from sun that it's never going to need protection from.
You even mentioned in the previous question about how important windows, natural light and ventilation are. That has so much flow and effect of aspect.
Yep.
And you can't really, once your house is built where it's built, no matter how many windows you put in, no matter how many skylights, like if it's not a functional layout in the sense of where your living room is actually located, where your master bedroom is actually located, where you are looking out.
Yeah.
You can't change views. You can't, once it's built, no matter how much you try and design around it. So aspect is huge.
Yep. Now my final one is something that I may be guilty of not following, but I would like to think that I'm now reformed.
Okay.
And it's something we have preached, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what you were saying, I guess, in terms of don't do small projects. Have your like any projects you're doing in terms of a renovation, or if you are building a new house or whatever, have it be a part of the bigger plan, and you can break it up into stages of work. Don't have it be like, oh, I've put batten and board in this room, but I don't really like batten and board, so I'm going to go do VJ in the other room. And it's not a hotel. It's not a hotel. It's a holistic thing.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm going through at the moment is in the 3 additional bedrooms we've got, it is just a hat shelf and a single rail that runs across at a really awkward height. So it's not really that functional. So we're in the process of trying to figure out what does wardrobe inserts look like. Mm-hmm. And a part of that is being like, well, what kind of wardrobe inserts do we want to do? Like, what are we providing? And it's not, oh, well, that room's just an office at the moment. It's probably going to be a bedroom in the future, but it's going to be a bedroom for someone who's a really tiny little person, but then it could also be for like a teenager or
like how tiny?
Grandparents, like freshy baby size.
Oh, okay, like nursery
that
bedroom.
Could be really nice.
Okay.
So like it could be anything, but if you think about it and you plan it carefully enough, you can come up with a design outcome in terms of those inserts that works for all stages of life.
Yeah.
Like if you've got enough drawers, shelving kind of opportunities, and then like maybe a sneaky little double rail moment with a hat shelf to put any things you don't need, you're going to be pretty hard pressed to like need anything more than that. Or if you do, it's designed in a way where you can just throw an extra carcass in.
So adaptable design.
Adaptable.
Okay.
I think so. So it's
multi-purpose for every space.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, I guess.
Well, that's fair. And like, I'm trying to be more, I guess, like high level than that in terms of like kitchens, living, like not just bedroom or storage.
Yeah, well, sorry, it's more like having that plan for the whole house. Don't just go and be like, oh yeah, that bedroom needs a wardrobe insert. And then you're like, oh, I don't like black anymore. I'm going to do. I
think we did talk about this in like building blocks going way back in terms of, I guess, getting a brief and realizing that like, again, unlike, you think a car, you're like, oh yeah, 5 years, that'll do us. A house is a lot longer than like 5 years. This is, when you look at a loan, a general loan, you're looking at like what, 25,
30 years,
25, 30 years. you're going to be pretty different from when you bought the house, and then in 30 years' time, does that house still work for you? And at the end of the day, if your design is right, yes, it can. You can actually design and develop a house from when you're 25 and it will, 30, and it'll still suit you when you're 60.
Yep.
Because you've put those things in there that are adaptable. Your storage is adaptable. Your needs are adaptable. You can be, a working couple with no kids to raising your entire family to have teenagers to then be retired.
Grandkids or whatever on the cards.
To be retired. Like you can literally develop a house to suit
an age and
your
place.
entire life. So I 100% like that is great.
I think so.
You're thinking like super high level, which I love.
Even to the final thing I'll say on that.
Final.
Is that kind of then almost goes hand in hand. Like if you're doing this master plan and you're like, this just doesn't stack up. Sometimes you don't have to do everything. Sometimes a house
because you've got 30 years to do it. Like it's fine.
Or even maybe this isn't the house for it.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just something that it's a stepping stone on a larger journey.
Yeah.
And instead of being like,
well, even that's a part of the master plan.
With Caitlin and I, like being like, oh, gee, what if we need like extra bedrooms in the future? How do we do that? Do we build like a second story on top? No. Just go and find a different house to do it to, because either the cost of doing it is prohibitive.
Yeah.
Or it's
just not suiting your needs.
Because then you're going to be making compromises on something that never intended to have a set of stairs somewhere in there. And then I think there will be less heartache and less kind of sleepless nights if you just kind of can accept the fact that there is a time to walk away from it. Not everything is a knockdown rebuild. Not everything is a full gut internal reno.
Yeah.
You've just got to don't get caught up in stuff and just go ahead and be like, it'll be okay.
I feel like all of these things that we're like my list and your list are just so master plan-esque in the sense of know why you're designing it and who you're designing it for from the get-go. And that includes like budget, who's living there, the overall brief, what you're trying to achieve. And that could be a 5-year plan. It could be a 10-year plan. It could be a 30-year plan.
Agreed.
So
beautiful.
I love your work.
Well, that's it. I love it. That if that was work, then that was the funnest work I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, that was easy breezy.
Well, thank you everybody for listening, watching, tuning in. Sorry about the interruptions. We had
our client meeting.
We had a client meeting with Freddie at one point in it, but this has been a great one. We're not sure what the next episode is going to be at this stage. We're about to just have like a little show meeting and figure all that kind of stuff out and a few other things. So, Mikaela, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for hanging out on a Sunday.
Thank you for coming around on a Sunday.
Please. It's been an honour. Jesus. It's been a pleasure.
Oh.
Let's just toodaloo them.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Toodaloo. Banger. Great episode.
That was a good ep.
It was.
That was a good ep. We've come to the end of another episode. If you have any questions, reach out to us on our Instagram @GrabTheTrace. Following, sharing, leaving a review or a rating is the best way to help the show. Our opening and closing music was created by Robert Hellberg. And whilst we try to help as much as possible, this podcast is of a general nature and won't be able to take into account your individual circumstance. If you need personalised advice, you should engage a relevant professional consultant to help make the best decisions for your situation. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.